Here is Azure DevOps training. So welcome to all of you. So in this course, we majorly will deal with the Azure major resources and Azure DevOps, CI/CD pipelines, and Azure DevOps online services, whatever it is. So before jumping into Azure and Azure DevOps, so before you might have already some background knowledge on cloud computing or DevOps. So some might have work done already in cloud and DevOps roles. So some might have don't have any knowledge on cloud computing and DevOps. So this today I will cover entire basic knowledge of cloud computing. What is cloud computing? What is DevOps? And what are the roles? So who don't know those concepts, then they will come to know on this. So without knowing these things, and if we explain Azure, what directly Azure and Azure DevOps, so they can't catch those things. So that's why we start with basic concepts, and then when going to Azure and Azure DevOps. Okay, so let me start with my introduction. So myself, Ramna. So I have a total 10 plus years of experience in IT. So I started career as a VMware administrator. Then I moved to some automation. Then again to coming to cloud and Azure cloud. So after that, I moved to Azure DevOps. So right now I'm working as a Azure DevOps engineer and Azure cloud engineer. So where my responsibility is like creating the CI/CD pipelines to deploy and manage the Azure resources through CI/CD pipelines. Okay. So this is my introduction. So yeah, I have done Azure 400 certification Azure and Azure 104. So basically what we learn cloud concepts. So what is cloud, and what are the different deployment models, and what are the different service models we can discuss. After that we can go with the DevOps concepts, so what is DevOps, what dev and what operations, and before DevOps how it will be, how it was, and now how it is evaluated. And after that we can discuss about the Azure cloud services. What are the uh, cloud cloud services provided in Azure cloud? So okay, and after that what is Azure DevOps services, and so what are the services provided, what are the features, and why we need to learn Azure DevOps as well, while Jenkins and GitHub Actions are there, and why we need to learn Azure DevOps. And so we can go into the in-depth way of, on Azure DevOps services like Azure boards and Azure pipelines, CI/CD pipelines, how we can create and where we can create. So what are the scenarios? So all those things you can learn in this new course. And after that, so some automation scripting maybe are required based on your, but we need some basic little knowledge. So like some automation we required are so small scripts will be there. So we need to understand about at least what that script is doing. So some of the update already, you may not need to write any scripts from this scratch, but you need to understand, and based on that you need to some modify some things, but it is not a mandatory, but it may required. So that in that case we can see what are the variables, how we can declare variables in some scripting like a PowerShell and Bash scripts. So and again iterations and the looping for loop, how we can write and we can text. So at the end I can share some documentation and some videos regarding any regarding to these Azure DevOps. So right. So then we can start with the cloud computing. What is cloud computing? So so cloud computing means so it is anything as a service. So whatever it is there, some cloud compute or something. So everything is compute. So we are getting the as a service via internet. That is the like base definition of the cloud.
What is the definition of cloud, sir? I'm not getting.
No, so everything as a service we are getting via accessing the services, computer services via internet from the client devices, so we mean laptops or mobile devices. So that's the basic definition, but we have many definitions, but it is like a little thing so everyone can understand. So I think so that. Yes, this is like a cloud computer architecture. So we have a everything. So in so some data centers having this, some servers, virtual desktops and platform as software platforms and applications are deployed on the data centers. These are like a, so who is managing those data centers? They are providing the services, these computing services to the end users through the internet something. So we can access the AWS services or Azure services or Google Cloud services through the from the portal itself, from the browsers, right? So those things like, so this is how we are accessing the cloud computing. But when we start with the starting size, like a client server model, so we have a client we have a laptop and we have a services, so this is the, like, if we think that this is the client and this is the server. So this is kind of like mobile. We can think of it as mobile. Uh, when we are requesting the server, so it will get the request and understand the request, and the server will provide the service to the client. So these things all will done by through internet, right? So this is how when client server model is has been started. So then so based on the, then it will start with the virtual cloud and physical data centers. So all these things happen. Mm, First, we have a before cloud computing, before virtualization, we have a physical data centers. There's So everything will be like a physical. So it has a every power resources and server racks are there. So every we need to buy the all these things. They are kept in the racks, rack servers, and they have the cabling, networking cabling, power cabling. All those things happen. So suppose if it is a small data center, but the applications are deployed on the small data center, it has more in initial days it is okay to get the to serve the request. So if it is 100 initial days, it is okay, but you keep on growing, and website or any application is more become more popular, then more requests are coming and more users are becoming. So then more requests is coming to the servers. So that means in that case servers may not be provide all the services properly. Like maybe there are some lagging, and sometimes the servers are more coming lack of CPU and memory. So that the case, those servers maybe hang out and we cannot respond properly for the request. So in that case, like we can't expand the data center in the quick manner. So those scenario, in those scenarios, cloud computing will be more useful. So we have a more flexibility and more auto scaling, all these things. So whenever the capacity is less, then we can automatically increase the capacity in the cloud. So those are the characteristics of the cloud. So we have the cloud deployment models. So we have a private cloud and community cloud and public cloud and hybrid cloud. So in this private cloud, as I said that it is one data center are managed by organization. So those services are used by themselves. So no one, it will not provide to the other clients or any resources. So whatever the uh, resources or the servers, what is the compute solutions, it is used by themselves, and that is the that is a private cloud. So community cloud, like so if I have a one service provider company. Sorry.
Sorry to stop you. I am still not able to understand what is private cloud. What is private cloud? How it is different from the other clouds?
Yes, so I will take. So private cloud is like a it is like one organization is there. So whatever the service compute services are utilized by the implemented by one organization, and it is used by themselves. So it is not shared with other clients or other other clients or other customers. It won't provide the services to the external things, external servers, external service providers also. So whatever the uh, compute resources are there, then it is used by the it is only limited to the particular utilizers, like a particular one organization or one client. So it will not shared with any other clients. Whether even if private cloud is hosted on the public cloud also, that those resources are all dedicated to the particular one client. So it's not shared with any other clients. That is the like private cloud. So whereas a public cloud, it is cloud we can use it for by all other resources, which are some computing sources are shared the services all those. So whenever I request the server, so it may be deployed on the server which is already VMs are running, which are used by some other people, some other service, some other organizations or some other client. But in the whereas a private cloud, so there are dedicated compute resources to the particular organization or client. So those are not shared with other clients or other things. So but it is all utilized by the one organization or one client. So that is the difference between private cloud and other clouds. Got it, or you have done?
Yeah.
So hybrid cloud is like a so is a mixed of public cloud and private cloud. So one service we are nowadays is like a data things, like if a financial client is there, then he want to be his data on his own cloud, or and remaining web application frontier, all these applications should be run on uh, public cloud. So in that case, we maybe need to be connectivity between the public cloud and private cloud. So those services are running simultaneously on public cloud and private cloud. So he is using the both the conditions. So this is the hybrid cloud. And community cloud is like a whereas I have a so one service provider, I have a huge data center, and I'm providing the compute resources as a private cloud, and I can buy these some services from the public cloud, and I can provide to the other organizations and all. So like in this way, like, so more one or more organizations come to be service providers, and they are using these compute resources, like how it is suppose Accenture is there, and they are providing they are tie up with all the service cloud providers, and it has own data centers, all those. So whenever customers are coming, then they will say that, okay, I have a data center and I have a partnership with all the public clouds. So now you tell me that, okay, I can provide all the services whatever you required, whatever on which whatever the cloud. So I can provide you the service, you can pay me, then so I can pay to the cloud provider. So that this is the kind of thing will be come under the community cloud, like. And in public cloud, so we have a AWS, it is the leader in the public cloud sectors, and next one is Azure Cloud and Google Cloud, and so Oracle Cloud and IBM Cloud. So remain so many are there. I mean, so it's like a 1 minute. Sorry. So in the private cloud, so we have a one physical data center or with things. Then so we have a server things, and every data center is having the like VMware is providing the their services like hardware. So access servers are installing on the hardware servers. Then we are using them as the individual things. So this is the thing. So these are the different deployment models in cloud computing. And so next, we have a different service models. So whereas we can this as a sorry, yeah, someone is speaking. So here it is a cloud service models. We have a on-premise infrastructure as a service and platform as a service and software as a service. So we have a different service models based on the how we are managing the compute resources. So in on-premise old days, like so even now it is also there, but we need to manage everything like from network, storage, and hardware, all the hardware things we need to manage, and so everything from virtualization, like virtualization software. So we need to buy the virtualization platforms, and after that we need to maintain the OS and OS patches and OS licenses also we need to pay, and we need to manage middleware softwares licensing also. So we need to uh, so we need to manage the runtimes like Java or .NET. So we need to manage our thing. So all these things we need to manage everything. So it will be like a cost more it is like a cost, and even we can't so we can scaling up. So because we have a more many limitations like so if we need to install one server also, then we need to go to the we should get the approvals. We need to procure the hardware, and we need to do the all the cablings and all. So these things will be more time consuming and very very cost timings and very so labor cost also will be there. So you can go with this. So whereas come to the infrastructure as a service, all these things, yeah, platform as a service and software as a service. So these things will come in like a cloud computing. So where service cloud providers are providing the basic infrastructure. You don't need to maintain the hardware, underlying hardware. So so just we can go to the cloud, and we can create a virtual machines. Then we can use the so we don't need to bother about the virtualization, whatever the backend and whatever the hardware things we need to manage all those things. When we are responsible for the only voice and patchings and whatever the uh, runtimes, whatever the softwares we need to install on the we need to use. And then those are the things only we need to manage. So when come to the platform as a service, like in this also it's like we are getting the more things like a management things like so we need to patch it every month like OS, and if it is any softwares are getting updated, so we need to update every softwares, underlying softwares, and runtimes also we need to update every time. So due to this also, so so some of the drawbacks are there. So that's why we are moving to the platform as a service. So here So we didn't need to manage all those things, like even we don't need to bother about the all the underlying softwares, whatever it is, whatever the underlying OS. We don't bother about the runtimes. Like you can select the, so I want to run application on Linux or any Java application, then we just create and configure them. So these things. So we have a example for this, like web applications in uh, Azure and any uh, app service environments and Google Cloud, all those things. So we have, and so when come to software as a service, we don't need to bother about the application installations, all those things, and we need to the configure about also. So we log into the we just subscribe the one service and we can use them. So those things we can do. So these are the things we cloud service models. So these are the cloud computing. So what this is, as I like. So whenever how the cloud computing came, so and how cloud computing is developed. So next is like a DevOps. So mostly, so we are releasing the thing like everywhere we are listening DevOps. So what is the DevOps? So we can come to the like DevOps is the like it is combination of collaboration and communication and things like, so technologies, so that to deliver the software and rapidly, very quickly, and to the end users. So nowadays is like everything we need in on the day, within the days, like so within the hours also we need to get the services, all those things. So those things, that is the reason the DevOps came in the picture. Then we have a all so we need to deliver the softwares immediately. So with to do that, we have to follow some methodologies and also. Earlier softwares SDLC model is like a waterfall, so it is very time taking. Like so first it will start with the project planning. And so whenever the customer saying that some idea, okay, I have it this idea, so or else or they will come to the service provider, the software company, then okay, I need one website, or I need one a compute resource or something. So when he is saying that his idea, then the software people or architect is will do the some analysis and all. Then it will start the project planning. So it is like whenever the project planning completes, then only so we will go to the, so whenever we are going, so then only we will go to the next level, like requirement gathering. Then once all requirement gatherings are all done, then only we can go to the analysis of the requirements, whether the, so requirement gathering, like so there's our software people will connect to the client and the all the requirements, so whatever the client wants, then we will gather all those data and we can analyze how we can do the things. Then we can go to the design. So then go to the yeah, actual coding and the actual implementation as actual development of the code, whatever the website or web server that he wants. Then he will go to the coding all these things. So then it will go to the testing, and then finally it will deploy to the development. And after testing all those things, then it will move to the production. So all these things will be done one by one. So we can't go to, once the requirement gathering is done, we can go back immediately with to the requirement gathering. So this is already done, so we can't go back to the requirements. And so that's why whenever the so analysis done, so whenever the doing the analysis phase, other things will not be will be freezed. So that's how it is happening in the water model. So it will waterfall model. So that's why so it is time consuming. And once the I mean whatever the client required, so required product, by the timing of deliveries, and once he was seeing that that software product we delivered, so he might not he might not like that. So he might so his thinking was different, and what we delivered is different after so many days spending. So if the client is not happy, then it is all of waste. That's where that's where coming agile methodology, so where we are doing the continuously planning and designing and requirement gathering and building the code and testing the code, and we have review with the client also. So whenever the small first we will divide the every client requirement into the parts, and first we will do the first so we will divide the project like based on the planning. Okay, within this time period we can deliver this. So they will plan for the limited time period, for the limited features. So they will do the all limited features and all. Then they will so once done that done, then so the whatever it is, whenever planning, designing, build and testing of those particular features, then they will go to the review with the customer. So based on the customer review, then we can go with the again planning. If it is any, if that feature is okay or approved by client, then we will go to the next part of the project. So it's like continuously, if the client is saying that okay, I need this feature, I need to, so in this feature I need to some logo, or I need some feature, I need to add some more buttons like some tabs I need to add. So then based on his review, then we can add that as a backlog, and we can note it down all those things, and again we start with the uh, again planning and designing all those things. It will be like uh, a round run iterations. So whenever they start with the planning and the designing, and again it will be lot of iterations. So in that case, what will happen, like every for every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, client will have the visibility how the project is going on, what is my software product, how it is developed, how what is going on, so that he will have the idea overall how it is going on. So how the product is going on, once the final project completes, and he will be happy with that delivered products. So that's why that's where very uh, clients are satisfied with the agile methodologies, so when compared with waterfall model. Yeah. So
What is sprint? Sprint one, sprint two, sprint three. So what is about the sprint actually? And why
so
only divide the entire work structure into sprint model?
sorry, so you are asking about a sprint one, sprint two,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. What is it?
So is sprint one like a, is like a planning for the, you see, each sprint is like a minimum 2 to 6 weeks, like so sprint is like a time period. So in that, so we have a one feature, like suppose client wants some features, like I need so he want to download, he want one web server, web application, so which has the in his home page. On that home page we need to some logos, and he want to be put that his entire data, like what about us, contact us, all those things we need that, those details. And he want all those in that web server, web application. So yeah, what we'll do in the waterfall model, whatever it is has done, so first they will planning entire project whatever the client is asking. So in one sitting, within the 3 months, or they will sitting with the project planning only. So once all those done, then only they will come to the next requirement gatherings, all those things. But here in sprint, so it will be like a, we are planning sprint for the 2 to 6 weeks, or minimal timelines. We can set the, for every each feature we can set the limited time period. So in that time period we have a review the every feature, and it, sprint is nothing but a time period. So like we have a cycles. So sprint one, sprint two. Sprint one is like a we have a targets. For every sprint we have a target to deliver the some features. So that, so planning every feature, so how to design and build the writing the code, all those to deliver that particular requirement for this piece. So sprint is like a time period, so within the like 2 weeks. So within that time period, what features we need to deploy. So that is like sprint. So that even so the client will be visible, has a visibility, like for every sprint, whenever the sprint started, he will join and he will give the requirement, and he will left. So once after sprint completed, again he will come to the meetings and he will ask, okay, where is my product? Oh, so I have given the requirement, where is that, and how the development has been done. So that's how it will be like sprint. So you got it? So it's like a methodology, so that nowadays every maximum companies are following like agile methodology. So to get the deliver the more effectively and more tracking the every resources efforts also. So using the Scrum framework.
Remember one more thing. I mean, is sprint and iteration same or both are different?
Sorry.
Iteration and sprint are they same or both are different?
Iterations are like yes, sprints are like both are same only. So we have a we are creating the sprints. It's like a we are adding the any both are same. So whenever the whatever the tasks are creating, then we are adding to the sprint, like iterations sprints. So it's like see every
Oh.
iteration. So anything else? So in DevOps, like so we have a DevOps concepts to deliver the we have a multiple tools we are using to deliver the all softwares in time manner, like very expensive speedway. So before DevOps, there is like a developers, and so dev will be like a developers will do coding and all those things they will do in the silos. So developers will be in the some other teams, and they will do the every uh, they have their own targets, and they will do the like coding and all they himself and themselves. So like they will write the code and test it in local system, and they will generate all the artifacts, like so code build all this done. So once all this development all those done, then they don't know, I mean, whether the target environment is ready or not. They are not aware of about the target environments, like whether it is okay that application needs to be deployed on a virtual machine. So developers teams don't know that whether the VM is ready or not. In the previous days before DevOps, now DevOps came, and so combining all like developers and operations team, so we are combining them, and they will be delivering the software in the faster way. So one they will win whenever the project starts, then developer team and operations team or infra build team will be in the same meetings and same team. So usually they will always keep on collaborating with each other people. It's like okay, whenever the developer is writing codes, and whatever the developer required some infrastructure, like whenever he need a server, or he want to test something in some target environment. So he obviously reaches to the operations team or infra team, so that he will get the his requirement. So that's how it is happening in the DevOps concept. So in DevOps methodology. So before DevOps, there is always will be like a developer will be in some other team, and infra team will be some other teams. So only manager will be communicate with these people. So that is the problem, and there is a gap with that. So that's why DevOps methodology came into picture. Then so we are combining all those people into the single team, and we are collaborating with it on the daily basis, like so we need this infra by this time. So the developer team will inform to the operations team or infra team, like okay, by this team by this time my code will be development is will be done, so that I need to test my code, or I need to move that code to the development environment, so that it will be collaborative, all those things. And effectively they are doing the delivering the softwares to the end users. So to achieve that, we have some of tools like, so every whenever the code repositories so we are using for the code repository, like whenever the developer code writing, so we will commit the code to the, or we will push to the code to the repositories and code repositories we have. So after that, so code will be built like we have a code in the human readable code in manners, and then by using some build tools, we are converting that to the mission understandable code, like by compiling the code. So we are generating the some jar or where files, or dll files, or exe files, so that mission can be understand whenever they deployed those binaries or the executable files. So that is where we are using the build tools. And code analysis, like so we are using the code analysis, like okay, whatever the any vulnerabilities are there in the code, or if any code is drawbacks, like if any chance in future, like a SQL injection one vulnerabilities, or any duplications, or whether the code is followed, whether the developer is followed some best practices or not while the writing the code. So those things will be like so do with the code analysis, and it will generate the some bugs, and some vulnerabilities will generate the report. So whenever come to the test, so testing, so will be the so we can use the unit testing, or automation testing for the by using these tools, like so once after done, like even code is built and the analysis done and testing, so after all those done, then we need to push our package whatever generated in build. So those packages or dll files are need to push to the some other storage. So those storage is called as a artifactory. So we need to push that code to the some other storages, so that whenever we need to deploy to the target environment, so that from the artifactory we can get those the DLLs, and what are the build artifacts, we can get them and we can copy to the target environments. Those things happening manually without any these are all will do, everything is like individual. So there is no integration between these before any uh, like a continuous integration, continuous deployment. Before that deployment, we don't have any integration between this. So developer will write code, the individually will push to that. And again, he will run the manually build, and even code analysis tasks also will run manually. So those things will happen without continuous integration. So these is all more manually interventions are there. That's where coming continuous integration for these. So whenever from the code repository, when code checks, so till the push to the artifacts. So these things will be by automating all those things in the continuous integration. So these are the tools that we're using for code repository. We have a Git and GitHub and Bitbucket and SVN. So these are like in AWS we have a code commit, and Azure DevOps we have a Azure repos. So there we can have the like distributed code management tools. It's like so whenever come to the build, so we have a MS build for the .NET code, and Maven for the Java, and Gradle and Ant. So these things, and NPM for the Node.js. So there are some other build tools others, but these are the main popular things. And code analysis, we have a SonarQube, very popular tool, and which will do the code analysis, all these things. And testing, so we have a automation testing, so like a Selenium, and we have a JUnit and JMeter for the performance testing, and load and also performance testing. So we have these tools. And when come to the artifactories repositories, so we have a, JFrog artifactory where we can store our packages in the even we can store our Docker images also in the artifactories. And we have a Sonatype and Nexus thing, and we have a Azure artifact also. So these are the like in whenever the development tools, whenever development in DevOps, so these tools will be used. So this is like whenever come to the operations, like whenever the operation guy like or infra build team, so they will do the uh, deploy this. So once that code is built and pushed to the artifactories, then we will use the by using the deployment tools, we will push that artifacts and to the target environments. And we have the configuration management. Then so operation guys will do manage the some configuration management like using Ansible and PowerShell DSC. So why we need to use configuration management? So we have a different environments like development and test environments and production environments. So we are using the for every environment we are using the for different configurations in the for the applications. They were if it is a 3-tier application, we have a we are using the database in um, different database servers for every environment. So we need to manage the constraints things, and for every environment we need to manage the different constraints things, right? So those configurations and even environment configurations also, even for development environment we may need less configurations. And for when it comes to the test environment, we have some more capacity we need. So for production, we have it like a high availability things and disaster recovery things. So we have a huge computation world and compute things we need. And so we have we need more configurations things, and we have different settings. Even we have application configurations also we can do the so through configuration management tools like Puppet, so Ansible. So these are like so once we have deployed all the applications to the environments and up and running, then we need to monitor that application. So whether it is a so how it is performed. Then okay, whenever the huge requests are coming to that web service, web application or some servers, so how it is responding, whether it is getting hang or it is getting the giving the very low responsive, is there any latency? So so in the monitoring we can get to know all those things. And these things like infrastructure as a code, like infra build team or any build team will be used to create the infrastructure, like to create the virtual machines or any if it is suppose if it is a web application in cloud. So by using the some infrastructure as a code tools, then they will deploy. And the scripting, so for automate some things like even with, it is like only infrastructure will do like deploying, creating the resources, and scripting will do some installations of any installing the any softwares in the virtual machines, or if we need to create users in the target environment, then we can use the scripting. So this is the all these are things will be done in like every individual, it will not integrated before continuous deployment. So for deployment tools, we have a Octopus deploy tool. So for the Jenkins, so even know that like even team city, and it is AWS cloud deploy tool is there for the deployment. And this Azure Pipelines. So we have where we are learning in these in coming days, we can learn how to create the CI/CD pipelines in Azure DevOps. So those things also we can use. So configuration management like Chef and Puppet, these are the like a agent based applications. So it will connect to the target client missions and from the servers. So that they will keep on checking the target environment, like whether these are all config. So whenever deployed to the production environment, so we have some configuration settings. So continuously monitor if there is there any configuration mismatch, then it will push the it will try to match the earlier configurations, so that it will do. So monitoring tools, we have a Splunk, and it is open source, and Jabix we have, and we are using the Azure Monitor for the Azure resources are hybrid resources, so we can monitor. Prometheus we can use for the Kubernetes monitor. So for the as for the infrastructure as a code, we can use the AWS. If it is we are using only cloud AWS cloud, then we can go with the AWS cloud formation, or else if we are using only Azure cloud, then we are going with the Azure ARM templates. So if it is we have if we are using multiple clouds or multiple environments, then we can go with the Terraform. So it will support more multiple environments at a time. So can go with that. So scripting, so we can go with the Bash or PowerShell. So if it is Azure, then we can go with this. So if most popular is Python, so it will support if it has some like if it is AWS, then we have a Boto 3 framework. So it is used for the Pythons, and for Azure we have a Python SDKs to connect with Azure Cloud and all. So these are the tool chains which we are using in the DevOps concepts. Then so these are the tools and these are the DevOps concepts. So then next we can move to the continuous integration, continuous. So how these tools are integrated so that we can without manual interventions, and once the code is checking into the repository, how that build will happen automatically, build and code analysis test and pushing to the artifactory. And that, not only that, if we are enabling the continuous deployment, then so it will trigger the release pipelines as well, so that it will automatically deploy to the target environments. So this is the like a continuous integration, so will happen like so developers will do the developers will write the code, and they will code check-ins to the code repositories. So when that done, then it will trigger the build or build tools, like it will uh, build means compilation of the code, and it will generate some artifacts like if it is a Java code, then it will generate jar files. If it is a .NET, then it will do the DLL or DLL files. And if it is a Node.js, then it will generate the Node packages. And if it is a Python, then it will pip packages. So those packages will be generated after the build done, running the build tools. So it will generate that those artifacts. Then it will do the unit testing. So then it will all the pushing to the artifactories, like whatever the generated in this build step, whatever the artifacts generated, so those will push to the artifactory. So this is will be done within the one. So those are all getting integrated. So those are, so once the once this completed, then we can see the continuous deployment. There is operations or infra team will be create the develop environment. Then they will use the some deployment tools. They will push the code which are them to the target environments. Then we'll do the some basic smoke test or functional test. Then after uploading that, then it will move to the test environment. And after that, we after doing final test, and then it will move to the prod environment. So these things is like a development, deployment, delivery is like a continuous delivery. So what we call is continuous delivery. So if it is there is no manual intervention, then it will be like a continuous deployment. So once the code is deployed, once the code is pushed, then automatically it will trigger the steps like build step and unit test, all those things pushed, and then immediately it will trigger the release pipeline, and it will push to the artifacts to the target environments without any manual interventions. Those things that will be like a continuous deployment. So there are different tools for the continuous integration and continuous deployment. So a very famous tool is like a Jenkins. So we are using Jenkins. But other than that, we have a GitHub Actions, GitLab, and we have Azure Pipelines. So we have for the continuous integration and continuous deployments, same. So same tools we can use them. Jenkins, GitLabs, and GitHub Actions, and TeamCity. So those tools we can use for the deployment, continuous deployment and continuous integration tools. So these are the these are the basic concepts. So before going to the actual Azure and Azure DevOps course, so these are the basic understanding. So without knowing, because so these are the basic things we should know about before going to the going to work in a cloud. So like what is the cloud computing, what we have to, what is this. So based on that, we can know that, and what are the cloud providers available in the market. So we have a public cloud, we have Amazon service, all those things, and we have a private cloud. Anyway, we are using the by using some virtualization technologies. Then so they were using that, and even some by creating virtual networks in the public cloud, so so that it can make as a private cloud, so that you can use that as well. On these things and DevOps, like so we are so the account creation any website. Sorry, what is that?
What is the duration of the course?
Sorry.
What is the total duration? How many days it will take to complete?
So it's like so basic on things still it is there. So I'm just revising this whatever till date till this time, whatever I told, so just referring them. And that so we have a Azure, and in this course we can cover the Azure and Azure DevOps, right? So so we are using public cloud, so like Azure. So what is, so why we are using the Azure, why we go with the Azure? So because so before going to the Azure cloud concept, actually, so it is launched in 2010 and as a Windows Azure, and after that it renamed as a Microsoft Azure. So it, since it is launched in 2010 now.
Probably you are not able to understand my question. My question is, the training session will be completed within how many days?
45 days.
30 days?
45 days.
Okay. Per day, how many hours?
1 to 1.5 hours.
Okay. Another question I have. Basically, I am working in big data. Okay, but whether should I go for the Azure DevOps or Azure or AWS? Which one is preferable?
So where you are working?
I am working in big data. Big data.
Okay, big data.
Yeah, yeah.
That I can't decide, like, so you have to think like, so when the big data, so whatever the services are provided better in any so you need to make up that things, like so if it is a big data, it might in Azure we have, in Azure and Azure DevOps we have.
No. My question is pretty much clear that I am having the experience into the big data SaaS developer, almost more than 10 plus years experience,
Okay.
and currently working for the Super as a technical analyst, senior technical analyst. But the question is, but at the day's growth, even though I have a little bit hands-on area, hands-on into the Git, GitLab, and Jenkins, TeamCity, Urban Code, all these things I already worked on. But still, now they are looking for specifically into the any cloud computing proper knowledge of. So which is better? Means whether it is they are looking for the admin area or any kind of Azure DevOps. Because in Azure you will go for the Azure. There are different kind of things are there. 400, 300, all these certifications are there. Which one is more preferable for the big data developer? That's what my concern is.
Big data, so it's like so in Azure we have a Azure Data Factory and Azure Data Bricks. So in those areas you can you can concentrate on them, and you can use the Azure DevOps as well. So you can go with that. So because I am Azure guy and Azure DevOps guy, so obviously I will suggest that. But you need to think like, so in the markets or how the things and big data, like So as of now in big data technologies in Azure, so I can say Azure Data Factory, there is a synopsis analytics is there. So it is connecting to the every data sources like vast database data sources, and it is connecting to the even Azure Data Lake. So whatever the data, most vast data is generated and to Azure Data Factory pipelines, they are giving the ETL things, and so they are generating some analytics services, and they are publishing as a Power BI reporting also. So even through the Azure Databricks, and they are using for the like even so Scala is there. So integration runtimes, posted, self-posted things. So all those.
So this is Nagraj here.
Yes.
Actually, I am the I'm working on the VMware and Citrix platform. Like
Okay.
Azure and Azure DevOps is suitable for me. Just I'm asking.
Yes. So if you want to move to cloud as well, so as of now you are working on only VMware. So
VMware and Citrix. Yeah.
VMware and Citrix, yeah. So even I started my career as a VMware administrator. And I use, I manage the VMware infrastructure. So after that, I moved to like it's all everywhere. It is like a moving to the cloud. Then I learn some cloud technologies. Then I move to the Azure and
This
Azure
is
DevOps.
this is suitable for me, right? Azure DevOps.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So it is.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Because
Thank you.
yeah, you need to make a mind like, okay, so right now I am working only supporting into the only VMware, so that is like only private clouds as well as on-premise
Correct.
infrastructure only you are managing, right? So
Correct.
that, okay, what is the next level thing, like every company, every organization is looking for the multi-talented. So it's not like, okay, it is not like that, okay, if you have only VMware knowledge, no, I want, do you have knowledge on AKS or Kubernetes or any public cloud, do you have a knowledge on that? So they might
Oh,
ask like this. That's why that's where you need to learn any clouds, like, so if you have
okay.
even not even no only cloud computing, they are expecting that Azure DevOps also. So is, I
Okay.
mean
Okay.
any DevOps tools, like, okay, if you are into the CI pipeline or CD pipelines, whatever it is, like, okay, you should have a minimum knowledge at least. So because
Yeah.
everywhere I said now, as I said, everything is everywhere it is like Agile methodologies and everything is implemented. So even you may not completely working on CI/CD pipelines, that but your work is somewhere related to the DevOps tools like this. So
Okay.
if some guy is working on an Ansible, so how the playbooks are integrated with the pipelines and how they are executing. So you might not know, but the whatever you written the playbooks, they will put into the CDA pipelines and they will run that. But you have to know, okay, I have done the pipeline playbooks, and you need to explore detail more. Okay, where these pipelines putting, how they are executing, all those things you might know. Then only you can try to explore other things in your project, so that you can come to know what are the extra tools they are using, what are the tools in the market demand, so that we can learn.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi Ramana, Abhishek here.
Yes.
Yeah, so since this class mainly focus on, Azure DevOps, so
Mhm.
are we going the Azure administrator as well? In this, because
Yes, yes, yes.
we should have a knowledge of
Yes,
Azure service as
yes.
well.
Yeah, see here, if you see my screen, so these are the services that we are going to cover in Azure. So these are the services. Local, most of the companies are using, many companies are using these are the services. So in Azure, so we are covering these services in this course.
Okay, okay,
So even whenever coming to the Azure DevOps, like so we will use the CI/CD pipelines to deploy to the one of these environments. Like okay, we can deploy the application to the virtual machines. We can deploy to the app services. We can deploy to the functionals. We can deploy to the AKS. So that's how we can deploy the database changes to the SQL database managed instances. So how using the using the Azure database DevOps pipelines. So we can do that as well. So in the whenever come to the Azure DevOps, so we can have the real-time scenarios like how in real time how they are deploying to the DevOps virtual machines, or how they are deploying the database changes to the database servers. So how do this, and how they are so integrating with
Right.
the deploying the pods and AKS Kubernetes, and how the build the Docker images, how they're pushing to the Azure Container Registries, or any other Docker Hub registries. So how these are the things will be covered in Azure DevOps course. I mean Azure DevOps coming after Azure. After covering the Azure administration of these services, then we can go to the Azure DevOps. Then there we can so this is like where we can cover the all these like in Azure DevOps. So how we can deploy to the target environments once the build is happening. So once this is like a code will do the, so this is how build job is done, like get the source code, install some dependency tools, and build the solutions, like build the code and run tests and package and publish to the artifacts. So once this is all like a continuous integration build tool, and when come to the release, then it is like a the deploy tools. By using the deploy tools, it will apply to the any services. Like if it is only here I put the only web application, but we can deploy to the various environments, even AKS or this and virtual machines, or even we can connect to the AWS as well, and we can connect with even not only like only CI pipeline somewhere. I mean some clients are need they want to use CI pipeline in Jenkins, and they want to trigger the CD pipeline in Azure DevOps. So that kind of also there, then we can use that as well.
Sir, what about the job opportunities for Azure administration and Azure DevOps in the market?
So yeah, right now it is like a more demand in Azure DevOps for the Azure and Azure DevOps. So we have a more demand in market. So we have a market in for Azure Administrator and Azure DevOps. So yes, we have.
So, for example, sir, just I have one doubt. I have a 10 plus years of experience in a Windows and VMware and Citrix. Like after learning the course, can I update like 4 years with Azure administration and Azure DevOps? Just I'm asking.
It is like a based on how you practice and how you learn. Like so, if
Okay.
you yeah, that's the one. So it doesn't mean that okay, I attended the course and I can put the 4 years. No, it's not like that. So at least so how I mean at least we need yeah we need to practice, like okay, at least we need to explain what is the services on Azure portal and what is, so at least you have practiced in creating the virtual machines, creating the storage accounts, and how you create manage the some applications in Azure. So creating the web services, all those things, and else at least you created some pipelines like a CI/CD pipeline, how we how .NET code is built, what are the tools that you are using for the build, for Java build. So at least if you have knowledge on that, then yeah, you may put that.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you.
Even we have a Azure VMware solution on Azure, so maybe those kind of scenarios also you can fit into that role also. Like somewhere some clients are looking for like have a some VMware VMware services. Then I want to integrate with Azure. So then in that case, Azure has a VMware solution for Azure, like AWS has. So that's so there. If you learn Azure cloud or Azure administration, so you people maybe you took you to that role. So so that you can you can work on both VMware and Azure. So you can get so that you cannot forget about VMware knowledge. So as it parallelly you can work on Azure, or else you can put into the you may into the migration. So that's how if you learn Azure, then okay you may into the multiple roles. You may fit into the multiple roles, like over for the migration and for the VMware solution on Azure. If you learn the Azure DevOps, then you may into the operations like infra build team. So Okay, you need to manage the you need to create the Azure resources and managing them through the Azure pipelines, like by creating the ARM templates. So you can push in, so you can create ARM templates and you can put into the repository and you can push to the through by running the ARM tasks. So you can create the resources as well. So that's a way you can have multiple chances.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
So Ramna, we will go through the sample project as well after this class.
Yes, yes. So every for every whenever the discussing one topic or one service, so we don't have a theoretical thing. Then I am creating. I will show you that way.
So, and
So
one more thing. So, as I mean, we all are experienced guys. So, I mean, will you help us to like for a sample project which we can put in our resume?
yeah, this is so. Even whatever I have done in previous projects and in previous customers and driven, then I will take the sample of that and we can implement in this. Then so that we can put it in that.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Ramna. Yeah.
So anything like. So yes, when come to Azure, so this is like so why Azure? Like why you want to learn? So because even if it is launched in 2010 and it was AWS was earlier before the Azure. When come to the statics and things, so like Azure is increasing the. I mean growth is very rapid. So when compared with Amazon and Google Cloud, so that's why it is increasing the demand. Even so, you, already AWS is more, even Amazon is AWS is leader. So even people are also more because if we compare with Azure, AWS resources are very high when compared with the Azure. So that also is because Azure day by day Azure clients are increasing, but we are who are supporting Azure or we are having the knowledge on Azure, there are less people. So that's why the demand is high. That's where so if you learn that, then you can grab the opportunities. So so before going to that, like very particular resources are then we have to know the basic some key terms. So in Azure Cloud, because every when if you are working in Azure, then uh, in each day every day you might heard about the subscription, resource group, regions, availability zones, and resource manager, Azure CLI, Cloud CL, or tags. So you might heard most of these words in the in it every day. So in order to while we are working in Azure Cloud, so because so subscription is the main thing. Like it is like whenever we are we are opting for any services from any service providers, we need to subscribe them and we need to take the subscription of that. So how we are doing the for OTT platforms. So that way same way we should take some subscription so that Microsoft will generate this own subscription ID so that to use their services. So based on our usage, then they will charge. So initially, Azure provide free trial for 1 month and 1,400 rupees of worth. So those things. And so resource group, so like is like a logical container, like it is like a you can say more or less like folder, so where we are keeping all files in single folder. So how that that's how resource groups work. So wherever the whatever we are creating the resources for a particular project, then we can captain to the single resource group so that we can manage everything, all the services within the that resource group. We can give the permissions in resource group level. Then we can that particular user has the entire entire access to those resources. So that's how we are creating the resource groups and managing them. And even while deleting, there's also, once we delete the resource group, then all services will be gone. So that we don't need to go by every service, and we don't need to delete that also. So that's where that's how those resource groups are very useful. And the regions is like a one data center within the region. So it's like a, so regions is like one global one geographical region, geographical location. We have a multiple regions, and that regions we have a multiple data centers. Those called as availability zones. So those data centers are nearby, very nearby, and those are connected in very interconnected together, so that we can get the less latency. So these are the availability zones and we have a Azure Resource Manager. So it is like a deployment. It will be managed the services in Azure. So by using that Azure Resource Manager, so we are creating or managing or everything, deleting or so managing every authentications, all those things, and life cycle of the Azure resources we are managing through the Azure Resource Manager. So by we have a ARM templates like Azure Resource Manager template, how the cloud formation has those. By using that templates, we are automating the creating and managing that Azure resources. And we have Azure CLI is like a command line tool there. So where we can install on Linux or Windows or any operating system. So through that CLI, we can connect to the Azure resources. And the Cloud Shell, it is like a whenever working with the portal. So so there it will be like a, so integrated with the browsers, so command line, so we can get. And tags, so we are giving the tags to the resources and resource group level and subscription level, so that we can organize them and we can get the, even we can use those tags for billing level. So based on the, we can query the resources which are returning based on the tags also. Suppose okay, some resources are used by some group of people, then we can give the tag name, that team name, so that we can get these. So if we go to the portal, so this is look how it is looks, and this is the portal.azure.com is the uh, Azure cloud URL. So this is like all services, and these are the services that providing in Azure. So this is like a based on the category like compute. So we have these many services. So we can mostly covering that virtual machines, scale set, and app services, and AKS, and container instances, and disks. So wherever if you see wherever classic, so before in 2015 there was like a Windows Azure based run. So before implementing Azure Resource Manager model, so before there was like a Azure Service Manager. So those by using that ASM, whatever the resources provided, then those will look like a classic. So they will mention like a classic. Classic means which are not created, which are not able to create by Azure Resource Manager things. But by recent days, where all people are using only ARM, like Azure Resource Manager only, so no need to bother about that classic thing. So then now we can see the availability set, and so mostly this is in preview. So they are still working on this app. So mostly by 6 months, next 6 months, maybe they will come to as a general availability, so that SAP workloads also can move to the Azure. So in container apps, like so we can spin up the applications by using the Docker images. Or so networking so when come to the networking, so we have a virtual networks and load balancers, and front door like load balancing things, and we have our tables. So the virtual LANs, the private DNS zones, we can use that, and application gateways, security groups, and network security groups. So with these things, even private links and based on hosts, like it is like working as a terminal server, so that so that we can connect to DM zones, so wherever some servers are not able to connect from outside the for the as for security reasons, we can connect from the public key network, so that we can use the best hosts and traffic manager profiles and net gateways. So these things under networking. And when come to the storage, you can have the storage accounts where we have a blob queue and different types of four types of that. You can use that. And by using the storage explorer, this is like a desktop application, so that we can connect to the all storage detail related things. And we have a like data lake storage, like it's like data warehouse, so we can have a normal data storage account, or can enable the data lake storage, so that we can store vast data of the like big data things. And when it come to the web application like app services, we have a web service, different web services, like we can deploy the container application, container apps on Linux, container on Windows, so that we can use that. So these app service plans, like to create the app services, we need to create these app service plans, like so we are going to subscribe like before going to the create web service, so we need what how much compute we need. So based on that we can pay, right? So that those all the details, all computing information will be in app service plan, like so those things. App service environments also. So those, and these are like mobile applications, like so we may not look into these. And container applications, like we have container instances like Azure container instances, like so we don't need to create any like backend cluster things and all, so just we can use the container instances. So we can, if we have one Docker image, then we can use that to create, run the individual containers. So without need any backend, we don't need to manage anything. So when come to the Kubernetes service, so we don't need to manage the Kubernetes cluster, but we need to manage the nodes, worker nodes. So those things. So container registries, like it is like a storage where we can save our Docker images. So by using the Docker files, we are building the Docker images. Then we can push to the Azure container registries. So there's service. So when come to the databases, like we have a vast database related, like Cosmos DB and SQL database, SQL MySQL, and elastic pools. We can create, we can put all these individual SQL database into the SQL elastic pools, so that we can auto scaling all those things. And data factories, like it is like a ETL service, and even we can use for this like EC Azure Synapse Analytics, and so both are integrated. And we can display like even we can use Power BIs for the as a reporting tool, and so these things in databases. So this is a particular complete section for the analytics, where big data things will come under this. So analytics thing, that so we can use the Azure Synapse again. So with Databricks, it's like a Scala thing. So once we create the Azure Databricks, we can choose the integration runtime, like either it is Scala or Python or some big data backend, like some Hadoop things. Also, we can select, so by creating these things, SD insights and data factories. Like so, this is Power BI embedded for the report generation. And logic analytics workspace, like it is like where monitoring data will be stored into the log analytics workspace. Then from there we can query the data, and based on that we can generate some alerts, and so we can generate the dashboards also, so that client end user can see the, okay, how this how his application is performing. So what is the latency? So what is the data, and mm, so that how many requests are 500 giving 500 errors, and how many are giving 404. Those things, we get all the data will come to the log analytics. Then based on the some queries, you can get that, and latency also. So this is entirely related to machine learning. So these things, it's like completely like who is want to continue the uh, career as a machine learning, artificial intelligence, then these are the services provided in Azure. So out of IoT, these are also something like in this we can see only logic apps, because it is like a again it is like a workflow thing. So we can integrate multiple services, like also whenever the alerts are generated, we can trigger the logic apps, so that we can create the incident in service now and assign to the some group, so that particular group will look into that resources. So that's how we logic apps. So this is actual show. This is I in logic apps, and so we have recent days very famous things in API management services, which are like a wherever we have a multiple APIs, so which are managed by API management service. So this if there are some using by many API servers, API things, then they are using the API management, so that they can manage easily APIs and API requests. So identity. When come to identity, like we have a Azure Active Directory, it's like a on-premise, so Active Directory we have. So, but recent days, many people are using Azure Active Directory, so that it is easy to manage users and groups, and easy to authenticate. So authentication and management, and it has like a multi-factor authentication and SSO configurations as well. So it will integrate with other LDAP and Open IDs. So using the Azure AD, Azure AD Connect. So by using Azure AD Connect, so we can connect, we can integrate Azure Active Directory with other domain services like on-premise Active Directory or LDAP things and OpenID. So these are the services. Then these are the like comes to security. So we can have the defender thing, and key vaults, where we can save our passwords or secrets or certificates. So we can use the key vaults, these things. And DevOps thing, like we can use the from here also. We can create DevOps thing, DevOps organizations. And migration, so we are not looking into that during this course, like, but if you see, it's like a Azure migrate. We can use this for the migrate from on-premise to Azure, and recovery services parts to the take up backup of all the virtual machine backups and storages. So weekly backups and those things, we can take that and we can save them. So monitor, so we can have the Azure monitors and metrics, so that we can have like a CPU utilization, memory utilization, and if it is comes to databases like DTUs, we can monitor that, and we can use the application insights, so that we can see the trends, like so how the when it is down, when we have the most heavy requests. So we say the logic spaces and Azure workbooks, where we can create these are all using to create dashboards. So how many resources are created in the Azure portal, like those things we can create, and we can show, we can create one dashboard, so that we can display to the client, so that he knows that what are the how many VMs are up and running, how many are stopped. So those things, so we can go creating dashboards, and you can show that. So those things, like these are the main resources, we can services, we can use this. And when come to Azure DevOps, this is the Azure DevOps. So we have a first hierarchy is like a Azure organization. So we need to create organization. Under that, we can create multiple projects. So if we go to the projects, so we have these services like overview, like whenever we are getting the project, then we can mention that, okay, what is this project, so what we are going to do in this project, so that we can do. And dashboards, so that how many pipelines are triggered, how many applications are running, how many release pipelines are deployed, how many test fails, and all those come to dashboards. And wiki, so we can define in wiki, like we can have any best practices or any standards that we need to follow to create the pipelines, or we should follow some terminologies or naming convention, so those we can publish into the wikis. So this is just overview all these things, but we have a main thing like Azure boards and repos, pipelines, test plans, and artifacts. So these are the main services that we are going to working on in Azure DevOps. So why Azure DevOps? Like if we take another services, so there is no project management. So we need to create separate. We need to use separate tool for the project management, and we need to use separate Git or GitHub for the code repositories and all. And we can we can use the pipelines, and test plans also maybe a different thing, and artifacts. So we need to use a third party thing like JFrog or anything. So we can use if we are using go with the other tools. But when come to the Azure DevOps, we are using entire thing combined. So here one stop. So once you logged into the Azure DevOps, then we can go with the Azure DevOps from the project management till the release. So even monitor things also, then we can do this. So in these Azure boards, we have work items and boards, backlogs, these sprints. So these things we can go with the. So based on the so if we have a Scrum model, then we have a peak. This is the high thing in hierarchy, and feature and product backlog item, tasks. Under the product backlog item, we have tasks. So it's like a user story. So we can create the user story, and we can assign to the people, and so that we can track every day. So this is our strong model. So here only, and we can integrate this task to the pipelines whenever the task is assigned to the person, like okay, create a pipeline. So once that pipeline is running, then automatically this task will be closed one if we are integrating with that CD pipeline. So that features are there. And this is ports and backlogs. So we can create every after every sprint completes, then we can, okay, what are the items are pending for this, which are committed and which are not delivered, then coming into as a backlogs. So those things. And see here it is like a sprints, like we can plan the sprints, and we can create sprints, and we can have the so multiple pins. We can have the dates, and also once we move to the actual course, then we can see all these things, how to create all these things. And okay, we can query the tasks, and so okay, what are the completed tasks, what are the assigned tasks to particular person, what is the tasks under features, so that we can do. So these are the new thing. Then we can have the plans, like what are the daily plans. This is how in Azure board, like it is comes under project management. So it is like if we are following Scrum Master and Scrum model, if you are using Azure boards, then you might have a daily meetings, and we need to give the status, and we need to give the effort, we need to enter our efforts, so that at the end of the sprint, so manager will calculate our KPIs, and how the team velocity, how the team is how much teams are productive, so that they will calculate all the KPIs, and so they will increase the productivity and those things. So when come to repos, it's like a repository where so we can code developers will store the their code. So there it's like, so underlying is a backend, it's like working on a Git only. So whenever does, So we can clone it to this repository to the local, and we can work locally, and we can push to the Azure repos by using some git commands like git push, pull, fetch, and we can git command. So we can discuss that as well in git before coming to the Azure repos. So we can uh, see the basic git commands, so how the git works. Then we can come to the Azure repos. So here we can see the graphical way, like how many commits, so what are the branches that we created, and how the matches. So here we can see, and these are like a status of the build CI pipeline. So once the code is committed, code is committed and merges to this branch, and pipeline is got success, it will show like this. If it is failed, then it will show like this. So if any pull requests are raised and approved, then we can see here. So these things you can see, and we can see like pushes. So how many, like this also, like whenever the code is pushed, like git push, so those things also tracked here. And branches, so we can have the branch strategies, like so we can create every repository, so we can have multiple branches based on the strategy. Like we can have feature branches and release branches for every so we can run the pipelines on each branch also. So we can while running the pipeline, we can select the branches. So that's how. So tags, like a, so you're not using the tag, but you need to categorize. If you want to categorize any repos and everything, we can use the tags. This is the pull request. We can create a pull request, so whenever we need to merge into another branch, then so while creating the pull request, and you can give the approvers who need to approve this pull request. So this is how depots will work. And pipelines, we have a pipelines. We have this pipeline is like a build pipeline, so where we are the once the code is completes writing, then we need to run the build pipelines through. This is like a ML code based thing. Even so we have a two ways to create the pipelines. We have one is classificator, and so one is YAML based. So we can see both the ways. So this is how classificator will look like. So this is like a drag and drop. So this is like a build solution, like we are using the VS Build to build the .NET code, and after that we are pushing that to the publish to the artifacts to the pipelines. So that's how. So once the build complete, then pushing the artifacts to the build artifacts to the artifact storage. So this where we are enabling the continuous integration. So if we are disabling this, we need to run manually. Otherwise, if we are enabling this thing, then so we need to, based on the below conditions, like so once the code is committed to the master branch, then it will automatically trigger. These things will be in, and we can have the multiple variables we can here. So this is how like a CI pipeline will generate, see, will look like. And we have a multiple templates also, so to create pipelines. If we create a pipeline, so here we can see the multiple git repositories will support. Not only Azure repository git, so we can integrate, we can use the GitHub, it is external, GitHub Enterprise, and suppose also we can integrate Bitbucket and other gits. So we can integrate our Azure DevOps with other the external repositories also, so that we can work. So here, like we have a multiple templates. Based on that, we can select. So if you want to any .NET desktop code or Android thing, or this Azure web app or Maven or Docker containers, so this you need to like think every task we need to add. So there are some built-in templates, so that we can use them, and we can uh, even Jenkins also. So we can call that Jenkins from here. This is like a Node.js things. Even machine learning models, we can publish machine learning models. So this is Xamarin, like this is Android framework, right? So or else we can go with the empty jobs, like we are using, if you don't want to any predefined template, then we can go with the empty job. Or else if you want to go, so if we want to use built-in templates, then we can go use the any one of the, suppose ASP.NET thing or the Maven. So this is like how. So in Maven.mxl, like this XML has the some of the data, like recording code, and some dependencies will define. So once it is running, then it will generate the jar files, and it will can publish to the artifactory, and we can use them in this pipeline, so that we can use that, right? So this is like environments where we can create our environments, like if we have any Kubernetes environment, then we can add it, and we can manage pre-approvals to be before deploying to the Kubernetes environment. We can do the approvals, all those things we can manage, and even virtual machines, so we can use it. These things will we can use this more into the build or release pipelines, both. It will use to when we are creating YAML based pipelines, we can use these environments. And it is the continuous deployment pipeline, so like where we are getting the creating deployment pipelines, like so here it is like Artifactory, wherever the previous build in build pipeline, whatever the generated pipeline generated files, so we can add here, so that it will be available for the deployment pipeline. Then we can do the, so we can do the release pipelines creating. So this is how it will happen. Like we can do the deployment, I said demo, I mean DB things, so we can do that. So here we can add multiple stages, so that we can have the like if it is, suppose if it is a dev environment, then we can if it is a dev environment, then we can create one stage. If we need to create one more stage for the, so it is stage, so we can use the different tasks. So if you don't want to use, if you want to use the same task that were created in thing, then we can use the clone. So this, whatever the task in this stage, automatically will come. So these things will be like, this is dev and this is I mean staging environment, like this. So these things we can see all in once we started the one Azure DevOps. Yeah.
One question, Ramana. What is an agent? I can see some agent in the pipeline.
Agent is like a so these are the like we are all creating in the all in cloud, right? So we have a agent pools that execute all these tasks actually. So we are creating demo DB task, right? Like we are using the so that's out. So we need to have a one mission. So like this is running on DB DACpack. So DACpack, so we are deploying some DACpack files. So backend we should require some SQL related runtime actually. So that runtime should install somewhere. So that somewhere means mission. So we need some compute environment. That is the agent pool actually. So that is agent. So
is it the build server? Is it the build
it's
server?
kind of yes. It's kind of a build server and release server. So is that even we have a two different types. That's why we can discuss later also in the actual when come to the actual course. What is the different types of agent pools, agents, and how we can create our hosted agents. How we are using the default agents. So how we can do that, then we can discuss that. So when come to library, so where we are managing all our variables. So we can integrate Azure Key Vault to the Azure DevOps as well to secure the when we can get the database username, password, or any certificates we need to install on VM, so that we can get from Azure Key Vault, and we can put on virtual machine through Visualpath pipelines, so that we can also, and secure files like some other tools we need to connect with the some tokens actually. Like if we take the Terraform cloud, so that is if we need some token, or else the Salesforce cloud. I mean, if we want to connect with the Salesforce cloud also, we need some token based authentications are there, so that in that case we can save that files, and we can put that in one notepad, and we can save here. So those things we can do in libraries. And task groups is like it's a group of multiple tasks, and so we can use them in and it's like we can group up tasks, then we can use reusable things like this task group we can use in another release pipeline, or another pipelines which has reusable codes. And here deployment groups, these are the like groups where so if you want to integrate your Azure DevOps with any on-premise virtual machine or Azure virtual machines, so we need to add those virtual machines into the deployment group. So we can create one deploy. So we already have one deployment groups. So in this no place, you actually have two virtual machines, then those are all offline. So that's how so once we have the uh, deployment group, then we can add the virtual machines here, so that whenever we are using whenever we need to deploy the code into the virtual machines, then we can use the we can select the deployment group in release pipeline. So those also we can see when creating the release pipelines. So these are like test plans, mostly developer, I mean test engineers will do when they will write some test cases and they will put here and we can use them. So we are not looking into this section mostly. So that we can even we can publish the our progress reports, all how many tests are executed, test cases are executed, how many are success, how many are failed, then we can do that, and even runs. So finally, this is the Artifactory. This is Azure Artifact, where we can save our packages. So if we create one feed, so this is the one. Like if any .NET related thing like Nugget packages, suppose if any customized Nugget packages are developed, then we can store here and we can use them in the build pipeline or release pipeline. So npm packages for the Node.js, Maven, Gradle packages for the Java, and Python pip and universal packages. So in by using the universal packages, whatever things we can save here, like even we can save the Docker images also. So if we are not using any external thing, or even if you are not using Azure, we can use this. So this is how Azure DevOps services, and once we come to the project settings, so we have a here like teams and GitHub connections if we want to integrate with the GitHub, external GitHub, and service connections where we can, so we need to like wherever we need to connect to the external services by using the Azure service, Azure DevOps. So we can have these, can create service connection. So by default, we have these of the services that we can connect from Azure DevOps. So we can have vast things. So more will come. Before 3 months or 6 months, these many things are not there actually. So now they have added many things. So we can connect to the external navigate package registry and subversion. Even we can connect to the SonarQube cloud, service fabric, Pythons. So even other gates, so EP series, and even we can connect to the Jenkins, Jira boards. So Jira task also, once the Jira task is assigned, then they can integrate from there itself. They can trigger the CI pipelines. So that's how they integrate. And JFrog Artifactory. So mostly mostly I hear that mostly when whoever using Jenkins, maximum JFrog Artifactory are using. So that also we can use. We can connect. So you can Docker registries. So you can use and the GCP for Terraform. So those we can connect to the GCP if you are using Terraform. Those things even Bitbucket, Chef. So these are the things service connections we can use. So if you want to even which are not listed in this, then we can, so somehow we can integrate some extensions like plugins can use, but mostly no one is using external extensions. So mostly inbuilt are enough. So if you want to install some many extensions, then we need to go to the organization and we can install. So here we can manage these permissions all to this project, all these. So that is the guide. So guys, so this is Azure and this is Azure DevOps, what we do, what done. So that's it. So yeah, do I have any questions? Like this is the like a global platform. Every like concepts are same. Whatever if we come to the Azure cloud, they are using concepts while same, but terminology, GUI is different. That's it. So they have a virtual machines, virtual instances, all these things become to the so that security related instances. So compute engine even come to instance. So VM instances means these are same thing. Concept is same, but only view and even come to the AWS. We have these many services. So when come to compute, so we have these things like EC2 instances, builds, right? If no one knows cloud computing all this, then that's why I want to show all these things. Like so, do you have any questions? Like so, this is like course where yeah, that's it. Do you have any questions? Like anything need to clarify or? Okay, it's almost 2 hours. So that's the overall course content, and so it is 45 days course. It's like because we need to discuss like in depth in CI and CD and Azure admin level also. I think basic cloud computing level can discussing little further than and Azure DevOps. So we can all through like maximum we can show like a practical only. So how even you can also I can share some lab content like how to do step-by-step things and where I will share some log sites where you can refer and you can create yourself some pipelines and create from Azure resources. Yeah. It's like an interactive. Yeah, that's it. Hope you guys liked it. Thanks for joining and thanks for giving me. Okay, here are some chat. Please give a email ID to management so that they will contact you for the details.
Yeah. Thank you, Ramna.
Thank you. So free trial will be like a 1 month validity, and worth is like a 14,000 rupee Indian rupees worth. So if you completed, if you that worth of resources if you are using, then that will be disabled before 1 month only. So if you are not using or using with that limit, by default after 1 month it will be disabled. Subscription will be disabled, but you can access the portal.
Okay, yeah. Thank you for this session. Yeah.
Thanks. And yes, will be generated, so we'll just notify you by the mail. Thanks, and I'm dropping off.